Good evening, everyone. This is Antonio, also known as Whiskey America 3 Alpha Hotel Charlie. Welcome back to the channel. So, this week, I'm training at night. You know the drill. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on the post notification bell. Subscribe to all my other channels. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so it's about to start.
Good evening, this is Chuck W30N, operated W30C, net control for the Two Rivers Amateur Radio Club net. This radio net meets every Monday here at 8 p.m. on the 146.73 MHz WE3P repeater of the Gateway FM Association. Membership in the Two Rivers Amateur Radio Club is not required to check in this net, as all radio amateurs are welcome. Like information about the Two Rivers ARC, you can write to us at P.O. Box 225. Greenhoff, PA, zip code 15047. That's P.O. Box 225, Greenhoff, PA, zip code 15047. We're also on the Internet's World Wide Web at www.trarc.net. www.trarc.net. Radio Club meetings are held on the third Tuesday of every month except July to December, starting at 7 p.m. This month's meeting will be on, let's see, what is it? January the 21st at 7 p.m. at Droopy's Bar and Grill. Droopy's Bar and Grill is where we had last month at the location of 620 Boston Holler Road in Elizabeth, PA. It's right outside of Boston. 620 Boston Holler Road is right across the Boston Bridge, right off of Route 48. So that's coming up on the 21st. We'll open this net for check-ins with emergency prior to traffic at this time. Anyone have any list of silent keys? I do have one to list this evening. Does anyone have listings of silent keys? W30C. I'm sorry to announce that a local radio hand passed away early last week. Richard Sperling, Whiskey Bravo 3 Juliet Lima Kilo. Whiskey Bravo 3 Juliet Lima Kilo is a recent silent key. So we're going to take a standby in remembrance of Rich Sperling, W30C. Okay, it's W30C net control for the Two Rivers net. Thank you. All right, we're going to take some check-ins here in a moment. Please, when you check into the net, give your call sign slowly and phonetically. You need to spell out your call sign. And let me know if you have any announcements or comments for the net. At this time, I'm looking for any officers for the Two Rivers IRC wish to check in. W30C. W30C, please recognize. Kilo Bravo 3 Sugar Tango, Robin Elizabeth Township. Good evening, Chuck. Evening to the net, no traffic. W30C. W30C, please recognize Whiskey India 3 Romeo. Roger and Waito, good evening to you, Chuck, and good evening to all on the net. No further traffic. W30C. Please call me, Kilo Bravo 3, Uniform Whiskey Charlie, Steven Boston. Good evening, Chuck, and everyone else on the net. No other comments. W30C. W30C, please recognize Whiskey 3, Sierra Hotel Foxtrot, Steve, Karen Heights. Listen, I have one brief announcement, and good evening, Chuck, and everyone on the net. Okay, got Kilo Bravo 3 Sugar Tango, Whiskey India 3 Radio, Kilo Bravo 3 number 1 Whiskey Charlie, and Whiskey 3 Sierra Hotel Foxtrot with an announcement. Any other members of the board of directors wish to check in? Okay, Steve, please go ahead with your announcement. Whiskey 3 Sierra Hotel Fox, go ahead. Okay, thank you very much, Chuck. This is Whiskey 3 Sierra Hotel Fox, the Activities Director for Two Rivers Amateur Radio Club. Just a brief announcement that every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m., we have our Gabnet. You do not have to be announcement. Thank you. Okay, all right. Let me give you some items of other interest if things are coming up. A recent announcement just came out today that the Dayton Convention 2021 has been canceled, mostly due to COVID-19 restrictions and things like that. There's a big, long discussion and announcement in the news release. It's on their website. A lot of people in the area have been forwarding it around by email to Rivers members. I just sent it out to you by club email description, so you might take a look at that. Okay, let's see. Okay, looking at other things coming up. January 16th, that would be next Saturday, I think. The Allegheny County ARES group has a Zoom meeting. You have to be registered for that, I think. You have to contact the emergency coordinator, Bob NU3Q. It starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, runs till 11. So that's on the 16th. Okay, I see we also have a Contest University Propagation Summit coming up. That's also a Zoom meeting. I don't have the date on that for some reason. I have it somewhere, but I don't have it here posted. Okay, also coming up, Bree Shooter's 10-meter club has announced their 10-meter ground wave contest. They'll be in the month of February and March. They're on the air activities on a 10-meter band. On February the 13th is the CW activity, runs from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. On March the 6th is the voice one, voice ground wave contest, and on March the 13th is the digital ground wave contest. Check out their website, www.breeshooters.org, if you want the rules and the forms and all that kind of stuff. See, also coming up on January 30th and 31st is the Winter Field Day. Some folks around here participate in that. Also coming up is the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo. I don't know why I didn't write the dates down, but I got the date someplace, so I'll have to get them for you. Okay, that's kind of what I got. Like I said, the big news is the Dayton Ham Convention has been canceled for 2021. That's gonna tell you, it just happened. So, okay, anybody need repeats for anything they've heard? W3OC.
W3OC is recognized Alpha 3 Oscar Zulu, John and White Oak. And good evening to you and good evening to the net. No traffic.
Okay, all right, thank you, John. All right, A3OZ. Okay. All right, let me pick some check-ins up here, which I forgot to do. Let me do that. Okay, anybody wish to check in? They're running mobile port. I'll set up like any kind of call up.
That's me.
Portable. Good evening.
Alpha
3, Yankee Golf Lima, Brisbane, Pan County. No traffic. W3OC is Kilo, Bravo 3, Victor, Sierra Papa, Dan out here in Beacon County. Good evening, Chuck. Good evening to the net.
W3OC.
There's Alpha Delta 3, Alpha Lee in Oakland. No comment.
W3OC. W3OC, this is Whiskey America 3, Alpha Hotel Charlie. Antonio down here in Pittsburgh. Good evening to you, Chuck, and those on the net, and I have no further comments.
W3OC. Whiskey, Alpha 3, Bravo, Oscar, Juliet, Ted Porter, Moon, Squirrel Hill. Good evening to you, Chuck. Good evening to the net. No traffic. W3OC. Please recognize November 3, Tango Alpha Uniform, and 3, TOU, Norman Penn, Westmoreland County. Good evening, Chuck. No traffic. W3OC. Charlie 3, Alpha Sierra, November, Donald, Westmoreland County. Good evening, Chuck, and all the net. No traffic. W3OC. This is Kilo, Alpha 3, and Elizabeth Portable, no traffic. W30C. Please copy Kilo Bravo 3 Oscar X-Ray Hotel, Bill, Hancock County, West Virginia. No traffic. Evening, Chuck.
Okay, got a budget time. Thank you all. Okay, let's see. I got Kilo 3 Delta Papa Papa Portable, Kilo Alpha 3 Yankee Golf Lima, Kilo Bravo 3 Victor Sierra Papa, Alpha Delta 3 Alpha Alpha, Whiskey America 3 Alpha Hotel Charlie, Whiskey America 3 Bravo Oscar Japan Portable, November 3 Tango Alpha Uniform, Kilo Charlie 3 Alpha Sierra November, Kilo Alpha 3 Kilo Echo Victor, Whiskey Uniform 3 Uniform Portable, and Kilo Bravo 3 Oscar X-Ray Hotel. Anybody else? Mobile Portable or outside of Allegheny County?
W30C. Please copy Kilo Charlie 3 India Romeo Foxtrot Bob in Overbrook. Good evening, everybody. The name here is Andy in Westminster.
SW30C. Please copy Kilo Alpha 3 Foxtrot Whiskey Quebec. Jeff in Greensburg. Good evening, everyone. No traffic.
W30C. November 3 Zulu Charlie Hotel, Ricky, Knoxville, Mobile. W30C, please recognize Whiskey 3 Delta Tango Papa, Delta Closes. Good evening, Chuck. Good evening, everyone on the net. No traffic. W30C. Please recognize November 3 Juliet Hotel Bravo, Jim and McKeesport. Good evening to everyone on the net. No traffic.
Okay, that time I got Kilo Charlie 3 India Radio Fox, Whiskey America 3 Papa Bravo Delta, Kilo Alpha 3 Fox Whiskey Quebec, November 3 Zulu Charlie Hotel Mobile, Whiskey 3 Delta Tango Papa, and November 3 Juliet Hotel Bravo. Anybody else? Mobile Portable or outside of Allegheny County? Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll look. Anybody else that's checked in, like to do so, call now.
W30C. Please copy Whiskey 3 Sierra Sierra Sierra. Good evening, Chuck. Good evening, everyone on the net. No further traffic. W30C. This is November 3 Papa Sierra from Chuck in the South Hills. Hello, Chuck and everyone on the net. W30C. W30C, please recognize Kilo Charlie 3 India Romeo Golf. This is Ann McKeesport. Good evening, Chuck and everyone on the net. W30C. This is Kilo Alpha 3 Kilo Sierra Papa Jimmy Carnegie. W30C. Here's Kilo 3 Hotel India Romeo. Laurel and Elizabeth Township. Good evening, Chuck. No traffic. W30C. This is W3 Sierra Yankee Radio, Bob in White Oak. Good evening, Charlie. Good evening to the net. No traffic. W30C.
Sorry, guys.
W30C, please recognize Kilo Charlie 3, November Foxtrot, Mike and Scott Township. Good evening, Chuck. Good evening, everyone on the net. No traffic. W30C. This is Kilo Bravo 3, Lima November Charlie, Lenny Hill, the mobile in the south side. Good evening, everybody. No traffic.
Hey, thank you. I got a bunch that time. Thanks. I got Whiskey 3 Sugar Sugar Sugar, November 3 Papa Sierra Uniform, Kilo Charlie 3 India Radio Golf, Kilo Alpha 3 Kilo Sugar Papa, Kilo 3 Hotel India Radio, Whiskey 3 Sierra Yankee Radio, Kilo Charlie 3 November Fox, and Kilo Bravo 3 Lima November Charlie Mobile. Anybody else wishing to check in, call now. Okay, alrighty, thank you. Alright, we'll get started here. I've already done all the general announcements. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on that, but for those of you who just tuned in, the big announcement tonight is the Dayton Ham Convention for 2021's been canceled. They just sent out publicity release a little while ago, and it's starting to work, starting to fly all over the place. Alrighty, let me flip the switches and be on the air tonight with Newsline. I'm not sure what all they got in there tonight, but because I haven't listened to it just like you do, W3OC. Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2254 with a release date of Friday, January 8th, 2021 to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. The FCC looks to add coordinators for increased license testing. Japan studies satellites made of wood, and a probe into the collapse of the Arecibo radio telescope. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2254 comes your way right now. From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's first independent, on-the-air news and bulletin service. Now, reporting from Wadsworth, Ohio, Stephen Kinford, MAWB. Our top story this week finds the Federal Communications Commission asking, is 14 enough? That's the current number of volunteer examiner coordinator organizations who oversee VEs or volunteer examiners, HAMs, who administer the U.S. license exams. In a notice posted on January 5th on the FCC website, the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau announced it would like public input on whether it should authorize additional coordinators, as many as 5, to support the volunteer examiner's ongoing work. Since 1983, VE coordinators have overseen the accreditation of the volunteer examiners, managing administrative tasks connected to the exams they give, and coordinating when the tests are given. The scene changed last year when new rules took effect in July, permitting VE coordinators to conduct remote exam sessions. They did so most recently this past December in Antarctica. The FCC notice said, quote, the Commission has long maintained 14 VECs and now seeks to consider whether they continue to serve the evolving needs of the amateur community or whether there are unmet needs that warrant considering expanding the number of VECs, end quote. Comments are due by the 4th of February. Details about filing electronically or on paper are available on the FCC website. The late December agreement has preserved the UK's involvement in some European satellite programs post-Brexit. Jeremy Boot, G4NGH, picks up the story from here.
An agreement between the UK and the EU has clarified the post-Brexit relationship between the two with regard to scientific research, permitting the UK's continued participation in Copernicus, the EU's Earth monitoring programme. The deal also ensured that the UK and a number of private satellite operators based there will also retain access to the space surveillance and tracking programme established by the EU for space situational awareness. The deal, however, does not provide the UK with access to encrypted or secure services on Galileo, Europe's Global Navigation Satellite System, GNSS. Galileo is established to assist emergency response services on Europe's roads, making railways and roads safer. Although smartphone users may not notice any difference, the UK itself will no longer have access to the satellite services for defence or national infrastructure. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boots, G4NJH.
How do you build a satellite that is kinder to the environment? A partnership in Japan is exploring the answer, and Graham Kemp, VK4BB, has those details.
Solutions to the growing problem of space junk don't just grow on trees. Or do they? Perhaps yes. In Japan, a forestry company has partnered with Kyoto University to work on building a robust and resilient satellite out of wood. Something that would be Earth-friendly as well as space-friendly. Their goal is to have one such satellite ready for launch by 2023. The experimental work includes exposing different varieties of wood to extreme temperature changes and sunlight to see how a wooden satellite might behave in space. An added plus, upon re-entry, wooden satellites could return to Earth without releasing harmful substances or debris on the way down. Kyoto University Professor Takeo Doi, a Japanese astronaut, told the BBC, and I quote, "We are very concerned with the fact that all the satellites which re-enter the Earth's atmosphere burn and create tiny alumina particles which will float in the upper atmosphere for many years," end quote. He said the next step is to develop the engineering model of a satellite and after that a flight model. The BBC reports that nearly 6,000 satellites are now orbiting the Earth. considered space junk, meaning they're no longer in use. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Grant Kemp, VK4BB.
COVID-19 precautions have led to the cancellation of yet another major amateur radio gathering, CPAC. The 2021 ARRL Northwestern Division Convention has been called off as an in-person event in Oregon, where it was scheduled to be held in June. Chairman John Busick, KE7WNB, said alternative activities online and on the air were being explored. In the U.S., Congress is taking a second look at the collapse of the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. Paul Brown, WD9GCO, tells us more.
Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. plan an investigation into the December collapse of the Arecibo Observatory, just weeks after Puerto Rico's outgoing governor committed $8 million in resources to rebuild its historic radio telescope. In the December 1st collapse, the dish was gashed beyond repair following the crash of the 900-ton instrument platform. The telescope, a valued cornerstone in modern astronomy, was being decommissioned by the U.S. National Science Foundation following other damage that occurred weeks earlier. At the time of the final collapse, it had been earmarked for dismantling. Congress has requested a report by the end of February. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
The world has kept turning into the new year, and so too has one Iowa Amateur Radio Club's balloon project. Jack Parker, W8ISH, has that story.
3 circumnavigations after its launch, the Pella Amateur Radio Club's APRS balloon was still the pride of the Jefferson Intermediate School 5th graders who helped launch it back in November. It ended the year 2020 as a success in the sky. Transmitting on 144.39 megahertz with the call sign of WB0URW-8, the helium-filled balloon had completed 3 trips around the world since its November 5th launch and seemed unstoppable. It was still making its rounds as 2021 dawned, according to Radio Club member Jim Emmert, WB0URW. Jim told KNIA and KRLS Radio that on its 3rd trip around the planet Earth, the balloon passed over Canada, Greenland, Portugal, Spain, Albania, and North Macedonia, among many other places. Powered by solar panels, the balloon can be tracked by following the link that appears in this week's script on our website at arnewsline.org. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jack Parker, W8ISH.
According to a January 6th report by the radio station, the balloon has since completed its 4th trip, a journey that takes about 2 weeks. The students have reason to be proud. Imagine collecting the solar power you need from a spot much, much closer to the sun. Jim Dameron, NHTMW, tells us about a project that's doing more than just imagining.
The U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory is hanging its hopes on something called Helios. It's a key component named after the Greek sun god, and is part of an experiment known as Arachne, expected to be launched into space in 2024. The formal name of the project is the Space Solar Power Incremental Demonstrations and Research Solar Beaming Project. What's that? The Air Force Lab describes it as a project that will explore a way to harvest solar energy directly from space, where sunlight is more potent outside the Earth's atmosphere, and where solar panels have more hours of exposure. Through use of something called sandwich tiles and other systems, the experiment will convert the collected energy to radio waves for beaming back to Earth as usable power. Helios, which is being supplied by Northrop Grumman, will house the platform on which these solar beaming experiments occur. Northrop Grumman's role has left the Air Force Lab free to concentrate on acquiring a spacecraft where it might all begin to happen. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, including the WB0YLE repeater on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. through All-Star in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and Fall River, Massachusetts.
W306.
A popular net control operator with the Handyham program for disabled amateurs has become a silent key. Kristen Kudnick, K0STH, tells us about him.
James Gordon, KD0AES, a lifetime member of the Handyhams program.
obituary in the Nevada Daily Mail, the Nevada, Missouri radio operator, who had cerebral palsy, brought such enthusiasm to his on-air responsibilities that at one point he served as net control for 3 nets a week. Grateful for his skill in handling busy traffic in an always polite manner, a number of amateurs pooled their money to purchase a Handyham lifetime membership for him. James continued his activity until 2 weeks before his death on December 9th. James Golden, who was 46, died of COVID-19. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Christian Kutnick, K0STH. We also report the death of NA contest logging software developer Dave Pruitt, K8CC. Dave became a silent T on the 29th of December, chairman of the Michigan QSO Party and a log checker for the ARL 10-meter and 160-meter contests. Dave's most widely known contributions were perhaps in the area of contest log development. Early on, he was the developer of a program for Radio Shack computers that checked logs for duplicate contests. He also created the NA contest logging software, which is capable of handling a number of contests. He was also a former editor of the National Contest Journal. Dave was 66. An influential member of the Canadian amateur radio community has become a silent T. John Williams, BK4JJW, tells us about his long career.
Farrell Hopwood, VE7RD, who'd been president of RAC and a member of the Canadian Amateur Radio Hall of Fame, has become a silent key. Known as Hoppy, he died on December 8th. The son of a telegrapher father and a teletype operator mother, Hoppy began his long career in telecommunications in his native British Columbia in 1948. In 1955, Hoppy became an amateur radio operator with the call sign VE7AHB. Those who attended Expo 86 in Vancouver saw the amateur radio station and exhibit there that was created by Hoppy and his team. An avid DXer, he was also involved in VHF-UHF linking and packet. Hoppy became an early member of the Canadian Radio Relay League and the Canadian Amateur Radio Federation, rising through its ranks into leadership. He also became involved in key discussions to merge the two organizations into the RAC. Hoppy later became president of the RAC, retiring from the post in 1998 after serving 3 terms. He was inducted into the Canadian Amateur Radio Hall of Fame in 2015. Hoppy was 91. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm John Williams, VK4JJW.
A recent winter contest hosted by one Canadian amateur radio club turned out to be a disaster, and the members couldn't have been happier. Kevin Trotman, M5PRE, has those details.
The Halifax Amateur Radio Club called their contest the 2-meter Get on the Air Winter Event, and it was designed to challenge the ham's ability to stay connected in the face of an emergency. For 4 hours on January 2nd, it was a dry run for disaster for John Bignall, VE1JMD, the club's director at large, and 50 or so other club members. It also turned out to be a frozen run. The contest went forward despite a heavy snowfall that covered much of Nova Scotia. John, who is also an EHS advanced care paramedic, said the contest underscored the need for hams to have a reliable communications network when disaster strikes, as it did in 2017 when Bell Alliance suffered a connection outage of landlines and cell phones in eastern Canada. John told the Saltwater Network website that the contest was also about having fun, but it's important to remember, too, that when the Red Cross, rescue teams, or ground search personnel need communications backup, hams should be there and ready. That makes everyone a winner in every contest. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE. There are many of us who would like to go off in search of some good DX. But what happens when the DX unexpectedly finds you? Ed Durant, DD5LP, tells us. As she gave her good morning greetings to local listeners from her radio studio in Canada's Yukon Territory, CBC program host Ellen Jones recently gained a new fan. It was Yoma Muntala, who was listening on 560 kHz, the station's AM frequency, from his home 7,000 kilometers away in Finland. He was somewhat surprised to hear the program Yukon Morning, as it arrived last fall by the long wire antenna it directed towards North America. Yoma is no stranger to DX though. He's been at it since getting his amateur radio license in 1967, with some of his proudest DX contacts being New Zealand, Israel and Japan.
napalm. Still, he believed some kind of special QSL card was in order, so he emailed the CBC and attached an MP3 file of what he'd heard. It was a multimedia EQSL card of sorts. The file revealed a signal of varying quality, but it was still a valid contact. Yukon Morning is one of many CBC radio shows that are available via streaming or on demand, but I'm sure Yorma would tell you RF is best. For Amateur Radio's Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP. In the world of DX hams, they're honoring the work of Lions Club International with special event station GD4 VLC in England. Members of the Bedworth Lions Club and operators from the Coventry Amateur Radio Society will be operating through January 28th on most of the HF bands. The operation will include the digital modes. There will be no QSL cards. Another special event station is operating from Poland. Members of the Sabina Contest Club will activate the special event station SQ0 Morris through April 30th, marking the 230th anniversary of the birth of Samuel F.B. Morris. Operations will be on various HF bands, send QSLs to SP1EG direct or by the Bureau. Our final story is about an FCC action against a company it is charged with radio interference. The government agency, it seems, is making some noises involving, of all things, animal noises. Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, has more. Can the grunt or snort or bleat of a deer be considered QRM? Probably not, but instructions being transmitted wirelessly, directing a hunting decoy to utter those noises, is quite another matter. The FCC and the U.S. company called Primos have entered into a consent decree over its product, the Wagon Whitetail Electronic Deer Tail Decoy, for what the FCC has called non-compliance with Part 15 of its rules. The FCC believes the decoy's remote, which users report has a transmission range between 40 and 60 yards, exceeds the authorized field strike emissions limits, and could interfere with nearby electronics. According to the FCC, the company acknowledged that it marketed 6 such models that exceeded those limits. Primos has agreed to embark on a plan for compliance and has begun a voluntary recall. The company will also pay a civil penalty that can be considered somewhat dear, $55,000. Primos noted it received no complaints of interference occurring with any other devices. As for interference complaints from any of the local wildlife, no bucks or does were available to grunt, snort, or bleat, or otherwise comment for this report. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kent Peterson, KC0DGY. Newsline closes this week by congratulating Richard G4TUT on the 50th edition of the CQ Serenade program, which carries Amateur Radio Newsline weekly on the shortwave.de transmitters in Northern Europe. With thanks to Amateur News Weekly, Andy Meyer, N2FYEARRL, the BBC, the CBC, Clean Technica, CQ Magazine, David Behar, K7DB, Facebook, the FCC, John Bignell, BE1, JMB, Ohio Penn DX Newsletter, Popular Mechanics, Primos, Radio Amateurs of Canada, the Radio Society of Great Britain, SouthgateSpace.com, Ted Rando's QSL Radio Show, the U.S. Air Force, WTWW Shortwave, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. Please send email to our address at newsline@arnewsline.org. More information is available at Amateur Radio Newsline's only official website at arnewsline.org. For now, with Karen E. Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York and our news team worldwide, I'm Stephen Kinford, NAWB in Wadsworth, Ohio, saying 73 and Happy New Year to you all. As always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2021. All rights reserved.
Good evening. 8:35 p.m. It's W3OC8. That control for the tours. That concludes this week's Newsline transmission. Okay, let's see. I promised you the dates for some of the announcements I made. Let's see. The Two Rivers Amateur Radio Club meeting will be on the 19th. I think I reported the 21st. It's the 19th at 7 p.m. at Droopy's Bar and Grill, 620 Boston Holler Road in Elizabeth, PA. That's right outside of Boston, PA. Contest University, the Propagation Summit is going to be on the 21st at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's a Zoom internet thing, Zoom internet activity. On the QSO Today Virtual Ham Radio Expo will also be another one of those internet things. It's a Zoom thing. It's going to be on March the 13th. So I forgot to give you that. I'll give you that information. Okay. I'll take some late check-ins and I'll like a check-in that's so called off. Alrighty, okay, we'll close the night out at this time. I show 8:37 p.m. local time. And we're going to close the net out at this hour. Right, so 30 check-ins. Those of you who are interested, the pre-shoot that starts at 9 o'clock over on 28.480 megahertz on 10 meter band. Low voltage. I repeat back to Johnny. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a good week. W3OC also on W3ON.
Okay, so right now my radio here is on low voltage. I need to charge it up. Yeah, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on that post notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video just like this one. Subscribe to all my channels, and this is 73rd. Peace.